Hello, my name is Joe Moore. I've been a pharmacy reviewer with URAC since 2021, and I'm happy to be your host for this brief webinar, Documentation and Citations, How to Successfully Submit Application Materials to AccrediTnet. Now, this might seem like a small thing, but during the desktop review, this is the primary way for you to communicate with your reviewer, and your success in the application process really depends on a solid understanding of it. During this brief webinar, I'm going to touch on three things. First is just an introduction to some of the common terminology that you'll encounter during the desktop review. I'm also going to share some best practices or some tips for success, and of course some mistakes or some things that you should avoid. So the first thing you should do when applying for accreditation is to read your guide. So start with the front matter. You'll find answers to some of the most commonly asked questions there, but when you get to the standards, not only are the standards important, but underneath it, the interpretive information, and then of course, a section called Demonstrating Compliance Desktop Review. And in that section, you're going to see these 5 words that are across the screen here. And each of these was very intentionally chosen by the authors of the guide, and each one describes something different as far as what is required for evidence of compliance. I want to call your attention to just one, the one on the left, documents. So this originally was policies and procedures, but we realized that organizations use a number of formal documents to outline or describe their processes. And so this was changed to just documents. But what's important to remember is that these documents must be formal organizational documents. They should be employee facing, and these are things that you would expect your employees to understand and be accountable for following. Some things not to do is when the guide asks for a document is to type up a narrative document. So typing one of these descriptive documents up is sometimes helpful to let a reviewer know what it is that your organization does, but it cannot be counted as actual evidence of compliance. Some other things to keep in mind. These standards and elements were written so that a maximum of 3 documents would be sufficient to demonstrate compliance. If you find yourself uploading 5, 6, 10 documents, take a breath. Maybe reach out to your reviewer, make sure you understand what the standard's asking for, because in the guide it should be very clear as to what is needed for compliance. You also want to be sure that the documents that you're submitting actually are germane and specific to the element of compliance that you're submitting them for. So what not to do would be just Control F and find any document in your organization that mentions a keyword from the standard and upload all of those. Be sure you're being specific with what you're uploading. And once you have the documents that you're ready to upload, it's very important that you are citing them clearly. So citations are key to allow the reviewer to know that you understand what the standard or the element is asking for, and also to point us where in your documentation we should be looking to find that evidence. A couple things to keep in mind here. Make sure that your citations are clear and specific. This could be highlights within the document. It could be tags in the document if it's a PDF document, or it could be a description as to which paragraph or which bullet point that we should be going to. It shouldn't be just see document or within the document, unless of course the citations are part of the document you're submitting. You want to make sure that when you upload a document, if it's a PDF or a Word doc, it's something that could be searchable. That helps the reviewer to be able to look for that documentation. So for example, if you're submitting RM1-1, we could search the document for RM1-1 to see where you've tagged that within your document. Again, you want to be as specific as you can to make sure there's no misunderstanding between what you intend the reviewer to look at and what we're actually reviewing. Couple examples here, like what I just talked about, specific paragraphs, specific bullet numbers. Do not say entire document, do not say see document. If these documents are not properly cited, the reviewer will send them back to you. Again, we can't look through the document to find evidence of compliance on our own. We need to be pointed there by the applying organization so we know that you know what the guide is talking about and what's asked for compliance. And a couple of final tips here. Again, clear citations are always important. No more than 3 documents for any scorable element. PDF format is usually helpful. Word documents are also fine. Excel documents when it needs to be. And then if you have questions, reach out to your reviewers. We're here to help you have a successful application process. We're here to educate you on what the standards are requiring for compliance, and anything we can do to help walk you through this process, we're happy to do it. So that's the end of the webinar. I thank you for your time and thank you for your attention. If you have questions, if you go to the URAC client portal, from there you'll be able to find all kinds of great tips and resources. I mentioned one earlier about writing policies, but there's other webinars and guidance as well that you'll have access to. And there's also a way that you can submit an inquiry to a URAC reviewer. And so if you have a question about a standard or a question about the application process, use that inquiry channel. And from there, you'll be able to get advice from a URAC reviewer just like me. Have a great rest of your day.